On this episode, I'm going to show you how to make the best recipe for a moist, delicious homemade carrot cake made from scratch with a cream cheese frosting. I always find the best way when we're cooking is to have everything in place. The French term is mise en place, and basically everything's pre-measured, so now we don't have the countertop all full of jars and we don't have to run off as we're cooking. First thing we're going to do is preheat the oven. The oven's been on for about 20 minutes. I want to preheat it, not only to get it up to temperature, but to warm them walls up in the oven. First thing we want to do whenever we're making a cake is always butter and flour the pan. Just take some butter and we're just buttering the pan. Even though we're putting parchment paper on the bottom, I'm still going to butter it. I've got a circle of parchment paper, so I'm going to place this on the inside. Now that it's inside, I'm going to add the flour, and you can see I've already coated one pan. To give your carrot cakes a cleaner flat top, you can wrap the pans in paper towels rolled in foil. Take a strip of paper towel and just dampen it. Now place it into a strip of foil, fold it over, and then you're just going to wrap this around the pan. You can use these about 5 times. You can purchase these straps at most baking stores, also online, and I've soaked it in some cold water. What this does is it keeps the side cooler, so as it goes in, because it's cooking from the outside, it cools it down slightly, it gives it even cooking, so no longer will you have a dome shape. Now that we've got everything all set and ready, let's start making this recipe. So the first thing we're going to do is bring together our dry ingredients. We're going to be using some baking soda. Baking soda is going to help this recipe brown. We're going to have baking powder, which is also going to help this recipe have a nice height that will help with the carbon dioxide, that nice airy sponge light cake. For the spices, a teaspoon of cinnamon. We're going to add some allspice, which is a berry, and then we're also going to add some nutmeg. And now we're going to add the flour, and we're using an all-purpose flour for this recipe, which is between 10 and 11.7% protein. Great structure for a cake. So I'm going to whisk the dry ingredients together, just giving them a whisking. And now that we've got the dry ingredients together, we can start working on the wet ingredients. And for those wet ingredients, I'll grab another bowl. For the wet ingredients, we're going to add the canola oil. We're going to add 3 large eggs. And we're going to add some orange juice, 2 tablespoons. I find this gives it a citrus note and it cuts back on the sugar slightly. Some vanilla extract. And then we got some pineapple. And I'm just going to whisk these together, start bringing these wet ingredients together. And for the sugar, we're using 1 cup of sugar and 1/4 cup of brown sugar. The brown sugar gives it a caramel note, and it also helps with it staying nice and tender. And now we're whisking in the sugar. We're going to add some carrot, grated carrot, and I'm going to add some raisins. The golden raisins we've soaked in some warm water for about 5 minutes just to rehydrate these slightly. And then the pecans, these are chopped, it's 1 cup. I've toasted these slightly in the oven, so I'm adding the pecans to the recipe as well. At this stage now, I'm going to change over from a whisk to a spatula. I'm going to add the flour. And now what we're going to do is just fold all these ingredients together, just folding them all round to give us a nice batter. Now just look how easy that was to make this cake batter. You know you can make this in your home. Now that we've got the batter mixed, we're going to add this to our prepared pans, and it's about 1 pound 3 ounces. We're looking to evenly distribute this just so the cakes bake fairly even. So I'm just going to add the mixture to the cake tin, and I'm just spreading out the carrot mixture. the cakes ready to go in the oven. So we're gonna let these cook in the oven until a cake tester or a toothpick comes out clean. Also, what you can do is touch the top. If it springs back, they're ready. Whilst the cakes are cooling, let's make this frosting. I'm going to take 2 packages of cream cheese, and then I'm going to take about 10 tablespoons of unsalted butter. I'm going to take 3 tablespoons of sour cream. This adds a nice tartness to this recipe. And then we're also going to be adding a small amount of vanilla extract, about a teaspoon. I'm going to be using my paddle attachment to whip this up. And what we're looking for is to get this nice and light. What helps with this is if you can have your butter and cream cheese at room temperature. So I want to get some air in there before we start adding the powdered sugar. So I'm going to turn this on and let this just whip up nicely. And you may want to scrape it down a couple of times. You're looking to get it lovely and light. You can see how the cream cheese frosting is so light now. At this stage now, I'm going to add the powdered sugar. I'm going to turn this on the lowest setting, which is number 1, and it's just so we can mix this. The frosting's been in the refrigerator for about 30 to 40 minutes. When it comes to frosting the cake, what we want to do is remove it from the cake tin. Now, as you look at the tin, you can see just how flat these cakes are. We want to remove that parchment paper from the bottom of the cake. So we'll just peel that off. But remember, we talked earlier on about how even the cake will be and how the layers will be so beautiful. So I'm just going to place this across. And then what we've got here is our serving platter. Now, to help keep this clean, what I'm going to do is put down some strips of parchment paper. I'm going to add about a cup of the frosting. You don't want this layer too thick, just enough to give everybody a decent bit of frosting. Once again, with the cake, I'm just going to use my hand, just going to bring it, and I'm just going to pull the top off. And now we're going to place the top layer on. And you can see as you look, that's pretty even. So what we're going to do now is start adding some more frosting to the top. Although I'm using my large palette knife, you can use a small one at home. And what we're looking for is just to get these swirls and just coming around the sides. If the cake frosting is too soft, just place it in the refrigerator for 20 to 30 minutes just to stiffen up slightly. I'm pretty happy with this, but I guarantee one slice of it will get an applause from the family. We're going to place this in the refrigerator for about 20 minutes and then we'll take a slice and see how we feel about it. And you can see as the knife goes in, that frosting's just got that smoothness to it, that velvetness. And then I'm going to bring out a slice of this. And as you look, you'll see that light carrot cake. Just look how moist it looks and delicious.